In this tutorial, I'll be going over various edits you can make to your CD file for your LEGO Batman 2 character. So if there's anything specific you're looking for, you can check the chapters of this video to find what you want to know. The first thing I'm going to go over is how to give a character a hat instead of hair if they already have hair. So in your character CD file, I'll be using Commissioner Gordon as an example here. If you go down below the texture references, you should see this hair MOBJ reference right here. If you want to give them a hat, the best way to do it is to find a character that already has a hat, someone like the Flash, I'll be using that, and then scroll to that same spot and you'll see he has a hat MOBJ entry, rather than a hair like Commissioner Gordon does. So, like in previous tutorials, you'll take at the beginning of the MOBJ entry, which in this case is this 5, we'll see that the length is 335, and we will select from here, scroll down until the next MOBJ entry starts. In this case, it's a 1. And see, I've now selected this whole area. It says 35.3 here, and this says 335. So we have selected the entire MOBJ entry. Now we can copy this with Control-C, and we can paste it over the hair entry in Commissioner Gordon. So do the same thing, select from 45.3 in this case, and then go down to the very end where the next one begins, and you see 45.3, 345. So we've selected the entire thing. So now I can paste over this with Control-V, and now I have a hat entry in here. Although I need to change the length bytes, so we need to select where this OLST entry starts, and scroll down here past the MOBJ entry, because we can see there is no OLST entry here. Scroll down to where that equal sign is, where the next OLST entry begins, and we check the length, which is 685. Scroll up to the top here again, because since we changed the length of the OLST entry by adding a new MOBJ entry over the original one, we now need to change it from 9506 to 8506. So I'll change this to 8506. And then we need to scroll up and change the overall length of the file itself. So you find this OLST and this MOBJ above the minifig super characters, and we will select from the length bytes of the OLST, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom of the file, hold Shift and select the bottom. Scroll back up, check the length, 10 3D, so change this 4D to 3D, and then do the same with this MOBJ entry. Find the length bytes, in this case 3A10, scroll down to the bottom, Shift and click, go back up, and see 10 2A, change it to 2A10. Now we've changed the length of the OLST and the MOBJ, and we've changed the length of the OLST down here. So the length bytes are all changed, but there are layers for characters in this game, which are defined here. The total length of the layers should be 3C and come right after the super minifig. Some characters don't have this whole section here being this long, but you should see right after the OLST and MOBJ entry at the top, you should see the minifig's super characters. And it's also right above the character definition game data. This section here is defining layers. I am not an expert, I don't know everything about layers here, but what I do know is if you're changing it from a hair to a hat, the second byte here is the one you'll need to change. You'll see the BF here, and then the 03, sometimes this will be a 07. This byte here, we will change it to a 08. This changes it from a hair to a hat. That byte is different for various characters. If we take a look at Vicky Vale, who is also a character with hair, we'll see that there are a bunch of 04s on the second byte, whereas Commissioner Gordon has a 06. I'm not exactly sure why it's different, despite them both having hair. I think it could be that Commissioner Gordon has regular static hair, but Vicky Vale has skinned hair. If we scroll down to the bottom here, to where her hair entry is, you'll see it says skinned hair, and it's different. It's not just hair, it's skinned hair. That means her hair is animated, whereas Commissioner Gordon, his hair is static, it does not move. So it might be that this 04 gives a character skinned hair rather than static hair. So if you ever need to do that, just keep that in mind. But in this case, we're changing a static hair to a static hat, so we'll change the 06 to a 08. Now we can save the file and test it in-game. The good part about making CD file edits is that you don't have to reload the game every time you change it, so all you need to do in order to see a difference is to go off of your character and then back on. In this case, I was already on it, so you already saw the change, but I did not have to reload the game. All you have to do is just go off the character and then back on it, so that it reloads the character and it will reload the CD file. So as you can see here, now we have Commissioner Gordon dressed as the Flash. Isn't that wonderful? So yeah, that's how you change a character from having a hair to a hat. Hold on, Vicky Vale pulls out a camera? I never knew that was a thing she did. I never played as her long enough to notice that. What the heck? Okay. Cool, I'm learning something while making a tutorial. The next thing I'm going to teach you is how to give a character a cape. It's actually extremely simple. Pretty much every character already has a cape in the game. In fact, sometimes you might even see in their texture references that they have a cape texture reference, despite not having a cape. In this case, Commissioner Gordon doesn't appear to have one of those, but there are some characters that do. So if we scroll all the way to the bottom of the character file, you'll notice in this OLST entry, you have various mesh references, like body mesh, left arm mesh, right arm mesh, hips mesh, and you can see he has a cape mesh referenced here, but he doesn't have a cape. But that's convenient because if we just go to the top, back to these layers, and change the first one after the FFBF here, change it to a 07, save that, and reload the character like I told you before, now he has a cape. Although it might be funny for some characters because, as you can see here, he does have animations for his cape, but someone like Vicky Vale, if you were to give her a cape, she would not have cape animations because they did not make these character animations with a cape in mind. So it's just going straight down. So unfortunately, you cannot use a cape with every character animation. So if you're making a custom character that you want to have a cape and you want them to have specific animations, you might not always be able to give them the animations you want. In this case, Commissioner Gordon has the regular cape, not the Batman cape. So what if you want to give your character the Batman cape? Well, as we saw at the bottom of the file, I had pointed out that he has cape mesh. If we were to go to a Batman character CD file, go to the bottom, we would see that he has a reference to cape_Batman_mesh, rather than the regular cape mesh. So if you want to give a character the Batman cape, then you can simply copy the cape Batman mesh from that file, or you could type it yourself, but it's easier to copy it, and then paste it over the cape mesh. But like other things, we need to change the length. So select from the period after mesh, and then right where cape begins, and see that the new length is 11. So we will change the length here to 11. And then we'll select from the period again, and drag up to the quotation mark up here, the 22, and check the new length, and see it's 29. So change from 22 to 29. And then we need to find the start of this OLST entry, which is usually an H, and select from here down to the very bottom of the file. And we'll see that the new length, instead of 48, is 4F. So we'll change that to 4F. And then we need to change the overall length of the file again, so scroll back up above the layers, and find the OLST, scroll all the way down, do just like we did before. Go back in the game and switch the character away and back. And now we have the Batman cape. So that's how you change a cape from a regular cape to a Batman cape. I think you could figure out the process of doing it the other way around. So what if you want to change the sounds the character makes? If we listen to the sounds that Commissioner Gordon makes, and his hurt sounds, these actually appear to be Alfred sounds. So if we want to change those, let's say we want to make it Batman sounds, we will go to the bottom of the file, right above where we saw the mesh references, and change the sounds here. This OLST entry is all of the character sounds. Although the character's TXT files has references to 3 of their sounds, it has reference to the pain, death, and doom sounds, but this one has reference to the jump sound and fall land and the huh sounds. I'll be changing the jump sound. Let's say we want to change it from Alfred sounds to Batman sounds. We can just replace the Alfred with Batman. The easiest way to do it would be to copy it from another file. So I'll just copy Batman here and paste it over Alfred. Luckily, in this case, it is the exact same length, so all I'd need to do is just save it after replacing this, and then we'd have Batman sounds. But if you wanted to change it to something that is shorter or longer, like if we look at the Flash sounds, his is only 5 letters, whereas Batman and Alfred are both 6. Then you'd have to change the length bytes, the same as we did before. So select from the period after, and then right where VO is, and you can see here the length is F, this is F. So if that changed, make sure you change it to the appropriate length. And then select from here up to the 1 and do the same thing here. We'll see the length is 31, and here it is still 31 because I did not change the length. But if you change the length, make sure you change it to the appropriate length that it shows down here when you select this section. And then do the same with the OLST entry, select from these 2 bytes, and then scroll down to where it ends and where the next OLST begins, right where that period is, and you'll see mine 13D, 3D1, so the length is still the same. So make sure you change that, and then the OLST and MLBJ length up at the top. So make sure you change that anytime you change the length of any part of this file. Always make sure that the length bytes have been changed for the respective locations. So, since I don't need to change the length, I'm just going to save this file and go back in the game and switch off the character and back on. And now he should have Batman's jump sounds. And he does! So that's how you change the character's sounds. The death sounds and the pain sounds, although they are referenced in the CD file, changing these doesn't really change them in the game. In my experience, it hasn't actually had an effect. You do need to change it in the TXT file, which is much simpler than this because it doesn't require changing any length bytes, since that is a standard text file. The next thing we're going to show you is how to change a character's face. If we scroll right here, right after the hat or hair or whatever it is, right above the voice sounds, you'll find the face MLBJ reference. To change a character's face, all you need to do is know what face you want to give them. If I want to give Commissioner Gordon the Flash's face, then I would just look at which face is being used. For the Flash, he uses Cyborg's face. So, the easiest way to do it, so I don't have to change many length bytes, is to just copy the entire MLBJ entry of the face for the one I want to use. And we can see I've got the full length, 33.1, 31.3, copy that, and paste it over the MLBJ entry for Commissioner Gordon. Paste it right over there. And then I need to change the OLSTs like I did when I changed the hat. So find the beginning of the OLST entry, 8506, scroll all the way down to where the next one begins, and then change it to what it is, in my case 79.6, change it from 85 to 79, and then scroll to the top, right before the layers, and change these bytes again. Switch off the character, and switch back on, and now we look at him, and he is the Flash now. I'm just using the face and the helmet. So that's how you change a face. But let's say you're making a character that doesn't have a face. Say maybe the Question or Slender Man. I don't know, you're making somebody who doesn't have a face. The easiest way to do it is simply refer to a face file that does not exist. So if I just replace Cyborg with a bunch of X's, or really anything that doesn't exist, then he won't have a face. So that's the easiest way to get rid of a face. But another way you can do it is to delete the MLBJ entry for the face entirely. If you select the entire thing and delete this, now you've changed the length again. And there's actually something else that I have not explained yet. But first, we need to change the OLST entry length to 48.3. And then there's actually a reference in here telling it how many entries the OLST has. If we look right after the OLST, you'll notice there's a 00050002. The 02 because we had a hat and a face. So since we now only have a hat, in order to prevent this from breaking, we have to change to 01 because there's now only one entry. So if you were to give a character a hat and a hair and a face, you would change this to 03. That makes sure that it references all three. In this case, only one. So I make this change and then go back up to the top and change the OLST and MLBJ length just like before, and he has no face. But he still works just like normal. So if you want to remove a face, you can do the simple method of just referring to something that doesn't exist, or you can delete it entirely, which does save space. The choice is yours. Now, let's say we want to change Commissioner Gordon's animations. We can see underneath the character definition game data, this starts a new OLST entry. The first MLBJ entry is the common shared basic set. This is just the standard animations that pretty much every character has. And in this case, that is his idle animation. Let's say we want to give him Batman's idle and running animations. You can see down here he already has the Batman default animations. And we can see exactly what he's using by going back into the game. If we look at Batman, we'll see that he has this idle animation, which Commissioner Gordon does not have. And if we look at the jump animations, we will see that they have different jump animations. Their running animations are different as well. But if we look at Batman's fighting animations, and Commissioner Gordon's fighting animations, we'll see that they're the same. So Commissioner Gordon is using only Batman's fighting animations, and that is because of where the Batman animation set is located in the list of animations. These work in a priority list, so if we take the Batman default MOBJ entry, make sure it's the full length, in this case 23, yep, it's 23, and copy it, remove it from here, and then paste it before the common shared basic set. So we go right before the 2C that starts the MOBJ entry, paste it back in. Since we did not change the length, we simply moved this. We don't have to worry about changing any of the OLST length bytes. We can now see his idle animation is the same as Batman's, and his jumping animations are the same. So now we have a character that has exactly Batman's animations. So that's how you can change the priority list to determine which animations a character has. But let's say we want to give Commissioner Gordon different animations. Let's say we want to give him the Flash's animations. Then we scroll up to see what the Flash's animations are listed as. In this case, it is Flash default. So we would change Batman to Flash. We have an extra letter here, so we will just delete that N, but now we've changed the length, so we need to check the length again. It's just 1 byte shorter, so change from 23 to 22, and this OLST entry, it is 2D01, so we will scroll down where the next OLST entry begins, which in this case is right here, right after the Wayne C minifig set. Go right here, check the length, 2C01, change from 2D to 2C, and then do the same with these bytes up here like we do for every single one. And it is now 060D. So since it's only one, I can figure this out. It is just going to be F3 instead of F4 since we only removed 1 byte. Now his animations are the Flash, but the Flash does not have a cape, so they did not account for cape animations, so he looks ridiculous. It's actually stretching the cape a bit in the back there. It's probably because of his shoulder. Oh gosh, he looks so ridiculous. Okay, anyway, now you know how to change the animations for a character. That's all that I will be covering in this video. If there's anything else for a CD file that you would like to know how to change, please let me know and I'll do my best to make a tutorial on how to do that. Bye!